Welcome back to Davos, Mr. Prime Minister. We should first tell you how pleased we are that finally the negotiations for entry of your country into the European Union will start. And we all know that it is mainly the consistent effort which you have put behind this vision of Turkey being a European country which led to the success as far. It is now nearly 2 years that you have become Prime Minister, and in that short time you have developed the respect and admiration of all of us here and far beyond Davos as well. Your pragmatic leadership has paid off in areas as distinct as political and economic reforms, reforms in the domestic arena as on the foreign policy front. Prime Minister, in the spirit of Davos, we will not have a speech, but we welcome you to a dialogue. And what I have done is I have asked a number of people here in the hall to sound out what the most relevant questions would be. And I have here collected a number of those questions which I have the honor to ask you. My first question is, looking again at your European orientation, what does it mean for you and the normal Turkish citizen, the average Turkish citizen, to be European? Can you define your view on European identity?
Önce Sayın Başkan'a çok teşekkür ediyorum.
First of all,
Böyle bir
I would like to thank Mr. Schwab for this introduction,
değerli dinleyicilerimi
and it's
Türkiye'yi
a great pleasure for me to address this distinguished audience
kimliğini ortaya koymak
and I would like to thank you to have given me this opportunity of expressing the orientation of the Turkish people towards Europe. When we look at the history, we see that the Turkish nation had a European convocation for 700 years. There is something that we always say, particularly in the last years of the Ottoman Empire, immediately before the declaration of the Republic, the Ottoman Empire was then defined as the sick man of Europe, not as the sick man of Asia, because that was how the Ottoman Empire, Turks and Turkey were known, and that was the understanding. But I think that there is a regression right now. I have the impression that certain circles are willingly not ready to accept Turks and Turkey as a European nation by their actions. However, the Turks, by their actions, by their ideas, and by their deeds and culture, are compatible with European culture. And moreover, there are more than 4 million Turkish citizens living in European countries right now. Obviously, we may have deficiencies. We may have committed errors, mistakes in the past, but I'm sure that, and I'm sure these issues have not brought a major difficulty of integration, and the cultural the cultural orientation of Turkey does not present any difficulties for Turks and the Turkish nation to feel themselves as European. So we have no difficulty in this respect. Considering our institutions, our organizations, this is how it is, how it has developed. And Turkey has assumed her place within many European institutions like the OSCE, for instance, or like the OECD. And within the European Union right now, if you consider the whole process as a legitimate process, Turkey has applied for full membership for 42 years if we take the beginning year as 1963. But if we take the beginning year as 1959, then this time is even longer. Now, Turkey has received the green light for starting the accession negotiations on the 3rd of November. I'm sure that during the negotiation process we will have the opportunity of knowing each other much better, much closer, and you will all see Turkey, all Europeans will see Turkey as a country combining the East and the West.
Let's assume the accession negotiations go well and you enter Europe. How will you have an impact on Europe? How will, let's say, the European Union change with Turkey being a member?
Türkiye'nin Avrupa Birliği'ne katılmasıyla birlikte en büyük kazanımı bana
the greatest plus point and contribution of Turkey joining the European Union will be a reconciliation of civilizations. Turkey will render very important contributions to the realization of this aim. The European Union is no longer a union of steel and coal, and it is no longer the economic union. It is not a Christian club. The European Union is the totality of political values, and within a European Union representing the totality of political values, Turkey's accession will realize that definition, and Turkey is the best address for that, and this is our assumption, and we will see that very clearly during the whole integration process with the European Union.
The European Union has still in the Balkans a problem or a problematic era, and of course we will see the entry of Bulgaria and Romania into the European Union, but in the Balkans, can you play a positive role?
When you look into the past of the Balkans, you will see that Turkey has a very important position in the Balkans stemming from the history. Historically and culturally, we still have contacts with the communities in the Balkans. And in such a process, I'm sure that the duty to be assumed by Turkey will be a very important one. Starting from Macedonia until Kosovo, from Western Thrace until Western Thrace. And even when we do that in cooperation with Bulgaria and Romania, in a very short time, I believe that we can reach very positive results in that region.
I will start to ask you questions to be addressed to the Prime Minister. So please prepare your own questions. But in between, Prime Minister, Turkey is bordering Iraq, Iran, all troublesome areas, troubled countries. Will you act in those countries on your own behalf or as a member of the European Union? And how will your foreign policy at the end blend Turkey's Muslim heritage with that of the European Union in the wider region?
Türkiye her şeyden önce bu bölgede bir denge ülkesi.
Turkey is a stability element in this region and will remain as such. Turkey must fulfill that obligation as the stability element in this region. Seen from this perspective, I think Turkey will have a very important function in the European Union's opening up to the Middle East, to the East. The structural positions of Iraq and Iran have to be addressed very properly. By disregarding that, you cannot assume a correct approach. And Turkey will transmit the viewpoint of the European Union to that region and vice versa, and thus will become the guarantee of peace there. Turkey essentially is fulfilling that function also now within the project of Greater Middle East in the fields of peace, economy, communications, democratization. Turkey is fulfilling that function efficiently, and it will continue to do so. And we are implementing in this direction by every step.
Prime Minister, any questions from the floor or comments, please? Yes, please. Please indicate your name.
Yes, I'm Congressman Ed Markey from the United States. Could you talk about the Kurds? And what might potentially happen if any movement is made towards independence of the Kurdish population? Or are you optimistic that the Kurds in Iraq will stay as a part of Iraq and not move on to a larger agenda to create a regional Kurdistan?
Kürtlerden derken Kuzey Irak'taki Kürtleri mi ifade ediyorsunuz?
By Kurds, you mean the Kurds in northern Iraq, if I understand you correctly.
Şu anda bizim Irak'la ilgili politikamız
Right now, our policy of Iraq is concentrated on its territorial integrity, and we do not consider it correct to disrupt that territorial integrity. We consider it not as appropriate for the future of Iraq and for the future of democracy. Since the very beginning, our attitude has been the following. We are in favor of the territorial integrity of Iraq, and we are in favor that no single entity in Iraq assumes superiority over the others. The same applies to the ethnic groups, that they should not be superior to over another. And we are in favor of an understanding that the natural riches of Iraq should be shared by all Iraqi people. Indeed, we are now in an election process. The preparations have begun, and as of the 30th of January, there will be a new elected administration for Iraq. But the most important task awaiting that new administration will be to prepare a just and fair constitution which will be accepted by the majority of the Iraqi people, for which the Iraqi people will say, this is my constitution. This is the most important task of the new administration, and the new administration has to take into consideration all the sensitivities that I have mentioned. Otherwise, the future of Iraq will be in danger.
Hello, my name is Bozidar Jalik from Serbia. Mr. Prime Minister, you just mentioned the territorial integrity of Iraq, and you also mentioned Kosovo. So I would like to put the question to you, do you also support the territorial integrity of Serbia as well?
Bu bizim için her yerde gerekli.
The protection of territorial integrity is necessary, in my opinion, everywhere. You can't say that in one country it is necessary and in another it's not. Everywhere we are defending the territorial integrity of countries. And for Serbia, we don't have any other intention. I wish that there were no conflicts there.
Moment to your accession to the European Union. What do you see as the biggest challenge in the forthcoming negotiations?
Şu ana kadar aslında biz güç olanı başardık.
Up to now, we have accomplished what has been the most difficult issues, namely fulfilling the Copenhagen political criteria. We realized these criteria in a very short period, like 2 years. We changed the constitution, the laws, and now we have 31 chapters to conclude. The technical delegations will deal with these chapters one after the other, and we will be determined to complete these chapters in a short time. We believe that we can do that because we have the dynamic to do that. We will be benefiting from the experience of the previous accession countries. Moreover, this is not a process that will be led by the Turkish government alone. There will be also the NGOs involved. The Turkish NGOs will have relations with the NGOs in EU member states. The same applies to the academicians and also the business circles, the media groups. The whole relations will accelerate the negotiation process, in my opinion. I believe the most difficult chapter will be the one involving the common agricultural policy. The rest, we won't face any major difficulties.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Irshad Manji. I'm from Toronto, Canada. Thank you. It's interesting to note that your party was elected government not on a platform of bashing America and Israel, but on a platform of providing jobs and cleaning up corruption. Please share with us a little bit about what you would tell Arab Muslim leaders about what they have to learn from the success of your government.
Şimdi Türkiye'nin biz göreve geldiğimizde
Well, when we came to power, the most important problem in Turkey was the unemployment. But unemployment is no longer the single problem of Turkey, but it is the global problem. Unemployment is the most important problem in the United States, in the EU member states, and the social security institutions are confronted with very serious problems. Obviously, the disadvantage of Turkey is that our social security system is not as strong as the American or European ones. But since we came to power, we have realized an increase in the per capita income from $2,160 to $4,200. This is a very important increase, and this will not be the end. And Turkey has very important tasks to assume in the international diplomacy. We are not we are not considering an introverted policy, introverted Turkey, introverted economics. We want to be open to the rest of the world, following the developments in Turkey, and we would like to establish a world full of peace, together, hand in hand with you. Together with the other countries that form the common platform for combating terrorism.
Please. In the middle.
Thank you. Kamenov from Bulgaria. I'm sure the Prime Minister knows very well in Bulgaria about 1 million ethnic Turks, and this is the only Balkan country where we have practically no problem with mixed ethnic model, let's say this way. One of the major concerns of Europe is about the future with Europe with Turkey. The basic reason for the success of Bulgarian model is so-called Bulgarian Turk ethnic party participating in the power. I'm sure the Prime Minister is quite aware about. do you see in the future a new European ethnical model based on this example? Or, second question is, do you envisage some sort of Turkish European party in the future? Thank you.
Şimdi bunu ben tabii literatürde hiç görmedim.
Of course, I have never seen that example in literature, that ethnic elements.
Olamaz diye bir şey yok, olur.
Of course, they can reach an understanding amongst each other. This is not an impossibility. It is possible. And the de facto situation in Bulgaria, and I wish that this will continue also, is a very good example. I don't know how long it will continue, but the fact that Bulgaria continues this direction will be a very strong infrastructure for Bulgaria's success, because any division, any failure will bring division, and we do not want a division in anywhere, neither in Europe. And there are many Turks, 4 million Turks living in the European countries, 2.6 million live in Germany, and the others are scattered in the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and so on and so forth. All these people work for the development, well-being of the countries they live in, but they should not present a difficulty of integration. I'm not talking about assimilation. I'm against assimilation, but these Turkish nationals should not create any integration problems in the countries they live. As long as they achieve this, they will be happy in those countries, and if there is any disharmony in that respect, they will not be happy there. Within Europe, there will be different ethnic groups, but also there will be nations with different religions, and Turkey's accession will be one of the best examples to that effect. Therefore, the Intergovernmental Conference
kökü Hristiyanlığa dayanıyor tezini kabul etti.
Did not accept the thesis that the roots of the European Union is based on Christianity. They said that the European Union is the totality of values. So they have escaped the major mistake. In my opinion, this is a major step, a proof for Europe to become a global power, and we have to succeed in that. Turkey will make a contribution to that end.
Prime Minister, we have to come to an end, but I would like to ask you a final question. Of course, you face the possibilities that there will be a referendum in one or more countries of the European Union about the result of your negotiations. What would be, if you would face somewhere in Europe, in Germany or in France, an average citizen, relatively, I wouldn't say hostile, but negative towards the entry of Turkey into the European Union, and you would have to convince him, what would be your 2-3 key arguments to do so? To the simple citizen on the street, that he votes for the entry and not against in a referendum. What would you tell him or her?
Tabii öncelikle Türkiye'nin Avrupa Birliği'ne girmesine karşı olma nedenini bilmem lazım.
Of course, I will have to know first and foremost the reason why they are opposing Turkey's accession to the European Union. As long as I do not know that reason, I will never be able to convince them. With regard to convincing, I can only say the following, and it is very important, something very important for me.
Hangi ülkenin veya hangi dinin mensubu olduğuna bakmıyoruz.
We do not consider who belongs to which country or to which religion. For us, people are valuable as human beings. This is my belief. We are created by the same God.
Yunus'un diliyle güzel bir yaklaşım
The
var.
Turkish folkloric poet Yunus Emre
yaradılanı yaradandan
said,
ötürü sevmek.
I love the created because I love the creator. This is my approach. This is our approach. And with that approach, we do not want to prove Huntington right. We do not want a world with the clash of civilizations. Quite the contrary. We want a Europe, a world where there is a reconciliation between civilizations. And I will tell them this. I will tell them we have to succeed in that. You are responsible. I am responsible. And we will have to succeed hand in hand. That would be my approach, and I don't think they would say no to that.
Prime Minister, the applause shows you have convinced everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today here in Davos. Thank you.
Thank you very much.